A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Welcome to another edition of Bearing Arms, Cam and Company. My name is Cam Edwards. Glad you're with me on the program today. We're going to be talking with Senator Mykala Voita from South Dakota once again. Last time we had her on the program, the legislature had approved the campus carry bill that she authored. Well, this week, South Dakota Governor Larry Roden signing that measure into law, along with a couple of other pro-gun bills in South Dakota. So we've got a lot to talk about with the senator. Let's get started. Take a look and listen. Senator, thanks so much for joining me on the program today. I'm glad that we're both, it's casual Thursday, I guess, today, right? Both at work. So this has been by the way, you are a freshman senator, right?
Yep.
This has been a very, very successful session for a freshman senator. How many bills, Second Amendment related bills that you've been involved with have now been signed by Governor Roden?
3 that I had the honor of priming in the Senate were signed on Monday.
That is tremendous. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
So let's talk about these bills. And I don't have the bills number right in front of me, but the one that we talked with you the first time around, campus carry. And this was signed into law by the governor on Monday. When will campus carry take effect in South Dakota? July
1st.
Oh, not long at all then. All right. So I guess maybe for the summer semester, but certainly for the fall semester, this is going to be in effect. And what will this mean for students and faculty who want to be able to carry on campus going forward?
Well, that means that they will no longer be denied the right by policy. Any policies that the Board of Regents would have in place are of no effect. And I hope that they honor that and that they just change their policies. I've had conversations with a couple of the members of the Board of Regents, and they seem to be honoring the law, but they're a whole body, right? They're not just one person. So I guess we'll see how that plays out, whether they remove the policies and make it reflect the law, or whether essentially they're just of no effect. So I think that's exciting, not only for students, but also for staff, because there have been quite a few teachers, professors, people who work there that they've been prohibited from carrying. These are 30, 40-year-old people that they can carry anywhere else in South Dakota, but they couldn't carry on campus where they work.
That's right. And this is one of the arguments I never really understood about campus carry, because we do trust these folks to carry throughout the rest of society, whether or not they're 40 years old or they're 18 years old and they've got a provisional permit, right? We say, okay, yeah, you can carry in the grocery store. You can be there in the movie theater. I can walk by you at the mall and I'll never know whether or not you're carrying. That's fine. But there's something about setting foot on a college campus that all of a sudden, apparently these people just turn into drooling morons who can't be trusted with a gun. And I don't get that argument.
Yeah, neither do I, especially when we have 18-year-olds sign on the dotted line to join the military, and it's just fine for them to go and lay their lives down on the line, and we trust them with that. But right. We don't trust them when they're on campus property. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Now, South Dakota is a constitutional carry state, but correct me if I'm wrong, someone will need to have a carry license in order to carry on campus. Is that correct?
So SB 100, what we're doing is addressing the Board of Regent and Board of Tech Ed policy.
Okay.
So we are saying, as the state, we are prohibiting the Board of Regents from implementing a policy that would restrict the enhanced concealed or restricted enhanced carriers. So if a college didn't have a policy in place at all, there's nothing legally stopping you from carrying without an enhanced permit. Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay. So yeah. So they can't stop people with those permits from carrying. The Board of Regents may very well go back and say you have to have one of these permits in order to carry, right? But okay, gotcha.
And it still stands. Any other citizen, they're not limited by policy, so there's nothing legally stopping anybody else from carrying still on campus property.
Okay, so if you wanted to go on campus, not as a
Right.
staff member or a student, but just as a visitor, you would not need a carry permit.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the second bill, which also gets rid of some gun-free zones. This one deals with a lot of like local government buildings, or I guess government buildings of any level, right? Whether it's a state, county, township. And it also gets rid of the blanket prohibition on lawful carry in establishments that serve alcohol, or at least derive a majority of their profits from alcohol. Correct?
Yeah. So this bill, um, it was just kind of a fight for Representative Alward from the beginning for no good reason, if you ask me. But so I wrote down some notes here. So since 1983, cities, counties, and townships in South Dakota have been prohibited from passing ordinances that would regulate the possession, I think it says possession, transportation, whatever, of a firearm. Well, Representative Elward had a constituent who brought to his attention that, hey, the counties, cities, whatever it was, they're passing policy to prohibit their employees, volunteers, whatever, from carrying on city, county property. So when we went back and we looked at the statute, and he did some research asking around, why are they able to do this? What's the loophole essentially? And we came up with, well, statute currently prohibits ordinances, but not policy. And so when we go back and we look at the original intent of, like in 2019, right, the state passed constitutional carry. When they passed constitutional carry, they added wording for licensure, so like prohibiting counties, cities, municipalities from regulating and requiring licensing for concealed carry. So we see, that the whole intent of this was to make the state the regulator so that everything is a standardized, you go anywhere in the state, you know what the laws are. It's not this guessing game. Well, since we found out that, there's nothing to prohibit them from implementing policy, new legislation needed to be brought. And there was all kinds of fight about courthouses and this and this and this. So what we came up with was the amendment that I had after it's gone through multiple committees, been butchered by amendments, all this stuff. And we're like, you know what? While we're getting rid of gun-free zones, let's repeal this other, just ridiculous statute that makes it also a guessing game, right? So that's 23-770, which is if a business derives over half of its income in the sale of malt alcoholic beverages. It's a very unclear statute. You and I, we don't have access to every private business's financial records. It just makes it a guessing game. So,
yeah, and I know that I guess one of the folks with I guess the Restaurant Association, one of the trade associations, was complaining that this was a late edition, didn't have a hearing on this. But I think it's important to note that if there's a bar that wants to ban firearms on the premises, they can still do that under this law, right? Now you've got the option as to whether or not you want to allow carry or not.
Yeah, there's nothing stopping them from posting a no firearm sign, and if they catch somebody carrying in there, they can ask them to leave. If they don't leave, it's trespass.
Okay.
That's not changed in this statute.
Yeah, because it almost made it. I mean, the opposition almost makes it sound like they don't have a choice. They've just got to let people in. And no, private property rights are still being respected, along with our right to keep and bear arms. So what is the third bill related to our Second Amendment rights that you were involved in that is now going to be, well, I guess now is officially enshrined into law?
Yeah, that would HB 1222. So because of federal law and the 1,000-foot safety zone around schools, as a state, we have to specify, what is allowed. So like with, this is just a regular permit. It doesn't have to be the enhanced or anything like that. So what we did with this is clarify in statute that if you have a permit to carry and you're, say, dropping off your kid at school, so you're in that school zone,
Mm-hmm.
and you have your concealed carry on you in the vehicle, you're not breaking the law. And then we kind of mirrored Minnesota's statute in this one. So we added, like, if you have to go inside the building and you don't have permission to be like a school sentinel, because we have that in South Dakota too.
Okay.
If you're not one of those people, and you're going to secure your firearm in your trunk, so like you get out of your vehicle in that school zone to secure your firearm, that you're also covered by this under law.
Gotcha. And I know some folks might wonder, okay, well, why doesn't constitutional carry apply here? And that's because the federal Gun-Free School Zone Act talks about recognizing licenses or permits that were issued by a state, right? That's an exemption that's within the federal law. But the Gun-Free School Zones Act was written before really the rise of constitutional carry. It really needs to be updated now to recognize that, 29 states don't require a permit to carry, but your hands are essentially tied. The state's hands are essentially tied until that federal language gets changed.
Right. And, I would probably argue that that's why, like in South Dakota, we still have the permits, along with being able to go to other states, but we still have the permits to kind of comply with these federal regulations.
Yeah. Well, again, congratulations on a very successful session. Honestly, when I just glance at South Dakota's laws, I'm like, well, how could they get any better? I mean, they're already pretty good, but you have figured out a way to do it. I don't want to, put the cart before the horse here, but do you have anything that you're thinking about for next session that you'd like to accomplish?
We'll probably come back and maybe see if we can do anything else with the campus carry stuff.
Okay.
But we'll check the temperature next year and see.
All right. Well, listen, Senator, we'll let you get back to it. But thanks again for carving out a few minutes. Always a pleasure talking with you, and hope we get a chance to do it again soon.
Yes, thank you for having me.
My thanks once again to Senator Voita for coming on the program. Hopefully we don't have to wait until next session to talk with her again. She is a hoot. I love having her on the show. All right, let's get to today's Armed Citizen story, our good deed of the day, and our recidivist report. We'll start there with it's not a single case. It's really, I guess, more of a trend in Massachusetts, where, by the way, I will be next month, April 19th. You can be a part of this as well. The Gun Owners Action League 250th anniversary of Lexington and Concord. They're doing their big dinner. Just go to goal.org to find out more. But as you well know, lawmakers in Boston, they love targeting legal gun owners, imposing more restrictions on the right to keep and bear arms while turning a blind eye to the problem of violent offenders, particularly repeat violent offenders. Well, the mayor of Springfield, Massachusetts, Dominic Sarno, has been banging this drum for years now, and he is continuing to do so. What will it take, he wonders, for the state to deal with the, quote, revolving door of repeat offenders? This specific instance involved the arrest of 8 Springfield residents last week, including what the local paper, I think this was masslive.com, described as a, quote, repeat firearms offender. 21-year-old Yaheem Sutherland, one of 8 people arrested in Springfield back on March the 12th. In addition to his prior firearms convictions, he also has 2 open firearm cases currently. He's 21 years old, by the way. He was held in jail from October 2023 to April 2024 in one open gun-related case, and then he was let go. A judge found him to be dangerous in February of 2024, but in April of that year, his bail was set at $4,000, and he was told, well, if you wear a GPS, then you can get out, dangerous as you might be. He was also indicted in January of 2024 in another gun-related case. Bail conditions the same as the first case. In both cases, however, there were also notices for violations of pretrial release conditions, most recently last month, according to masslive.com. So here you've got a 21-year-old, multiple arrests for gun-related offenses, ruled to be a dangerous person by a judge, which ordinarily you would say, okay, you can be held without bond until trial because you are a danger to the community. He's let loose. He's got another open case. He violates the terms of his pretrial release, and nothing happens. This is amazing. March 12th, he was arrested following a police pursuit, during which a Massachusetts State Police trooper got a concussion that required stitches. Sutherland, according to authorities anyway, also removed the electronic monitoring ankle bracelet that he wore during his arrest. He now has 43 adult arraignments in his 21 years, 25 of which are gun charges. Dominic Sarno, Mayor of Springfield, said, "We have a revolving door of repeat violent gun-toting, poison-dealing offenders who are not being held as they should. These numerous crimes, again, one suspect with 25 gun charges by age 21, 2 current open gun cases, could be prevented along with the injury to a state trooper and the threat to the safety of our residents and community." He said, "I continue to question what it will take for our court system to take action and protect our community." Well, listen, it's not just the court system. It's the legislators' responsibility as well to deal with this. And again, they've made it pretty clear that their priority is not going after repeat offenders like Mr. Sutherland. Their priority is cracking down on lawful gun ownership with the idea that there'll be some sort of trickle-down effect on criminals. So if we make it more difficult for somebody to legally possess a firearm, well, that's got to have some sort of impact on the ability of Mr. Sutherland to illegally acquire a gun, right? Wrong. That's not how it works. We have over 400 million firearms in this country. And there will, unfortunately, always be an illicit market through theft, through straw purchases, through friends and family, which is how, by the way, most criminals acquire their guns. And in Massachusetts, with some of the most restrictive gun laws in the country, you still have a 21-year-old who has 25 firearm-related offenses to his record, or at least accusations of 25 firearms offenses on his record at age 21. That tells me the gun control laws are not having an impact on violent offenders. They are, however, having a huge impact on the ability of lawful citizens in Massachusetts to be able to exercise their fundamental right to keep and bear arms. All right, on to, another state where it's becoming at least more challenging, and the governor there would like to make it even more difficult to exercise your Second Amendment rights. New Mexico, what appears to be offensive gun use out of Clovis, New Mexico. Headline, a shooter alleges teen broke into home. This case is apparently being investigated as an act of self-defense in Clovis. The Eastern New Mexico News in Clovis, New Mexico, reports that no charges have been filed in connection with the shooting earlier this week, at least as of early this week. The incident itself happened early Saturday morning after a teenager entered a man's Clovis apartment about 12:47 a.m. This is different, by the way, than the defensive gun use that we covered yesterday, which was also from New Mexico, but that was from Albuquerque. This again from Clovis. An attorney representing the homeowner issued the following statement saying, shortly after midnight on March 22nd, an individual unlawfully entered an apartment in Clovis. Armed with a shotgun for protection, the homeowner instructed the intruder to leave his home. As the individual advanced towards him, the homeowner discharged the firearm, aiming for the intruder's leg in self-defense, and immediately called 911 to report the incident. The homeowner and the other occupants of the home are fully cooperating with law enforcement in the ongoing investigation into this home invasion. He went on to say, New Mexico law is very clear. Every individual has the right to defend themselves in their own home. My client acted in self-defense when confronted by an intruder who advanced on him. We are fully cooperating with investigators and trust that the legal process will affirm a homeowner's stand your ground and self-defense laws. So we will keep our eyes on that story out of Clovis, New Mexico. But again, if police are investigating this as a self-defense claim, if the words from the attorney representing the homeowner are accurate, then it would appear that this would be a valid case of self-defense. So again, hopefully we'll get an update there out of eastern New Mexico. And finally, today, our good deed of the day, in the right place at the right time, willing and able to do the right thing. A neighbor who saved the life of a woman who fell asleep with a lit cigarette in hand, catching her bed on fire. Not a good idea. She was rescued after a neighbor broke down the door after the fire alarm and fire sprinkler system went off. The sprinkler system had extinguished the flames, but the woman was still taken to the local hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Thankfully, again, the neighbor was able to get to her before her burns were more serious. And, the local fire department said working a fire alarm and sprinkler system, very important. Yes, it is. So is not smoking when you're tired. I mean, it was certainly when you're in bed. That's just a recipe for disaster. They make these things even if you don't want to quit smoking, they make these things called vapes, which may be your bedside companion rather than a lit cigarette. Just saying, a little bit safer an option, maybe not health-wise, but at least in terms of fire hazards, right? So in the right place at the right time, willing and able to do the right thing, that anonymous Good Samaritan in Palm Harbor, Florida, saving the life of his neighbor, and thankfully that mistake did not cause her to suffer more serious injuries, and it sounds like no real damage done to surrounding apartments as well. So that is some additional good news. All right, that is going to do it for this edition of Bearing Arms Cam and Company. I hope you were getting ready for a great weekend. It is going to be busy here. I was hoping, weather's supposed to be beautiful, so I was hoping to do a little bit of shooting, but my youngest kids turned 20. If you've been a long time Cam and Company listener or viewer, you probably feel as old as I do when I say that, because you remember when they were born. Yeah. But no, they are leaving their teen years behind, so we're going to celebrate their birthday over the weekend. I'm going to see the comedian Dave Attell tomorrow night in Richmond. And I have to get on a lawnmower for the first time this spring. So that last one, not really excited about. But maybe early Sunday morning, I can sneak down to my shooting spot and get a couple of rounds in. But hopefully you have a less busy, more relaxing, and more Second Amendment involved weekend ahead. We'll see you back here on Monday, but don't forget to check out BearingArms.com throughout the day today, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as well. We're keeping you up to date on all of the latest Second Amendment news and information. And if you like what you see, I would encourage you to become a VIP Gold, or VIP Platinum member. When you use the promo code FIGHT, you can get 60% off of your membership. You'll get exclusive content really at every level of support, and you will be supporting the independent pro-Second Amendment journalism that we're doing here at Bearing Arms, and we greatly appreciate that, especially considering the not just the anti-gun bias, but the dumb stuff that we're seeing from the media these days when it comes to our right to keep and bear arms. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great weekend. Until we talk again, be well, be safe, and be free.